Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2470, The Zhurong Clan 1. Those were visible air fracture lines, like two invisible meteors cutting across the street. Wherever it went, the steel bars were pulled out directly, and the cement instantly vaporized. Oxygen molecules, cracked in the air, frantically poured into the gaps, creating a series of terrifying low-frequency roars. The entire block seemed to have been forcibly sliced into pieces, the edges gleaming with a scorching white light. That was a space-type ability user among the Zhurong warriors. His space ability also carried a scorching power. Just as Suzaku was about to make another move, Tu Yunlai said, "Let me do it." Tu Yunlai roared, took a step forward, and the flames in his chest seemed to have been poured with gasoline. Vulcan explosion. His fist slammed out, igniting dozens of nodes in the air in succession, like a series of explosions in a vacuum. The explosive pressure created a huge funnel-shaped shockwave that pushed the two spatial rifts back outwards and then forced them to close together in an extreme and brutal manner.
Boom.
He forced the two spatial rifts to collide, causing them to explode into a giant incandescent flower. The attack of the second Zhurong warrior was brutally and forcefully neutralized by Tu Yunlai in the most ferocious way. On the battlefield, the third person on the pillar of fire has already charged forward. He was unarmed. Only his arm was present. His hands were half an inch longer than normal, with thick, heavy finger bones and fingertips like black iron that had been heated red hot and then suddenly cooled. He spread his arms as if to embrace the city, then clenched his palms downwards. He seized upon flammable factors from all directions. The remaining gas inside the building, the steaming water vapor seeping from cracks in the street, the scorching arcs in the electrical box on the street corner, the human grease crushed in the dust carried by the wind. All the burnable elements were as if being peeled away from every tiny space and gathered in his palm into a terrifying dark red heart. "The power of your flames is returned to you." He chuckled and handed it to Zhuke and Tu Yunlai. "No need to return it. You can keep it for yourself." Tu Yunlai took a step to the side, arching his back like a towering black-horned bull, and clashed his fists together. Terrifying flames burned on his fists, and the collision created a hemispherical vacuum area. As a fire-type ability user, he was well aware of how powerful the mass of matter in the other party's hand was. He knew that if this burning material fell, an entire city block would be hollowed out and then set ablaze. The vermilion bird stood side by side, its fingertips once again glowing with a faint, icy blue light. A single, icy blue feather rose from her palm, like a delicate, swirling breeze. Vermilion bird's icy blue feathers drifted from her fingertips, one after another, filling the entire space in front of her, like a silent blue snowfall. The blue snow transformed into a storm, completely surrounding the Zhurong warrior and swiftly devouring all the power of the flammable substance in his hand, turning it into a charred mess. The third soldier's eyes finally narrowed slightly. "You've got some skill." All the Zhurong warriors' gazes towards Zhuke changed. This land dweller's abilities seem to be a great counter to our Zhurong clan. "It's all right. Her strength is nothing special anyway. Let's just kill her here." The fourth Zhurong warrior pressed down on the former's shoulder and slowly stepped forward. His helmet had a long, thin flaming blade crest, like an upside-down comet's tail. "My turn." He raised his arm and made a very casual diagonal swing in the air. "I will transform into an extremely hot flame, a blade that can cut through all things." A thin, hair-like, yet crimson diagonal line piercing the sky immediately appeared between the distant mountains and the city. Where the diagonal line passes, the mountainside is cut into a flat, almost abstract cross-section. A high-speed rail bridge on the edge of the city tilts and lands silently. No explosion, no screams, only the long, mournful sound of metal rolling on the ground. When the temperature reaches a certain level, the sheer power of energy is enough to sever everything. And this fiery cutting blade swiftly swept towards Suzaku and Tu Yunlai in front. Everything happened in an instant. Even before the flames touched the blade, Suzaku felt a stinging pain on his skin. Without the slightest hesitation, Suzaku suddenly unleashed a terrifying burst of icy blue flames from his entire body. A colossal, ice-blue vermilion bird roared as it soared into the sky, forming a sacred phantom behind her. Ice prison, fallen feathers. Countless extremely fine, almost invisible blue feathers appeared out of nowhere in the air. The entire space was bathed in an icy blue light. Feathers flew everywhere, and the long and sharp flame blades slashed swiftly to reach the front, but when they touched the vermilion bird domain, they were completely devoured of all their energy. Even my attacks. The fourth warrior, Zhu Rong, could no longer remain calm. His flaming blade was extremely powerful and could easily cut through diamonds. However, the opponent did not recklessly use physical means to block it, but instead absorbed all of its energy during the process of the flaming blade falling. It is almost unsolvable, possessing both offensive and defensive capabilities. At this moment, Suzaku finally drew the attention of all the Zhurong warriors. However, Suzaku's actions did not stop. Simple defense was not an option. Her eyes were cold, and her fingers kept moving. A flurry of icy blue feathers fell from the sky. Each feather was a carrier that absorbed energy, and they landed on the soldier's shoulder, elbow, wrist, and fingers. This causes the heat power of each of his joints to be silently drained within a unit of time. His wrists felt as if they were locked by invisible, cold handcuffs. The warriors of Zhurong were caught off guard and felt an intense cold all over their bodies. Their lips even turned purple from the cold, and they began to shiver. "Oh no! Don't let her abilities touch them." The warrior Zhurong roared loudly. Just then, Tu Yunlai roared and took advantage of the moment when his movements were sealed to attack from the side. Vulcan flame burst. With a punch aimed at the fourth Zhurong warrior, the two were only a few hundred meters apart. Tu Yunlai's attack was powerful and heavy. The endless storm of crimson flames condensed into a single line and smashed directly into the chest of the Zhurong warrior. Bang! The fourth Zhurong warrior's body stiffened, and he had no time to dodge. His breastplate caved in, and he was thrown backward into the still wet molten pool behind him, half of his body submerged in the molten lava, leaving only a low, angry roar. "Let's start the slaughter. Kill all these bastards." Tu Yunlai roared. "That's exactly what I was thinking." Zhuke nodded. The two of them had a general understanding of the strength of the Zhurong warrior. His strength was only around 20,000 points in the ability index. With their combined strength, they are perfectly capable of fighting back. Most importantly, this fire-type race is a natural source of power for Suzaku, whose abilities completely suppress them. Seeing their comrades severely injured, the eyes of the other four Zhurong warriors also turned cold. It's time to end the playtime. Chapter 2470, 1. The Zhurong Clan, 2. The battlefield was torn apart by flames and icy air. Zhuke and Tu Yunlai were already engaged in battle with 5 Zhurong warriors. The air was distorted, the streets turned to scorched earth, and the collapsing skyscrapers plunged into the roaring lava. Everything looked like the end of the world. The figure of Suzaku alternated between blazing heat and icy coldness, her body enveloped by a blue phantom of Suzaku. Blue flames burned fiercely, illuminating the entire city. Those flames weren't just burning flames. They were flames that could devour other flames. Each time she waved her hand, the heat energy in the air was swallowed up and turned into blue light, which then scattered into countless ice feathers. Where the ice feather fell, the surface temperature plummeted to hundreds of degrees below zero, and even the molten lava froze into a layer of azure crystals. Tu Yunlai was like a burning meteor, his whole body enveloped in flames, and the earth was instantly ignited when he stepped down. His hatred for the Zhurong clan transformed into his furious roar. The power of the Vulcan blast accumulated within him, and each punch he threw was like a small volcano erupting. He roared and threw a punch, the shockwave sending up a fire wave tens of meters high, the scorching wind melting the steel into liquid. "Damn scum. All of you die." He roared, and flames erupted into a sea. 2 of the 5 Zhu-Rong warriors were instantly blasted back, and their crimson armor was cracked with dozens of gaps. Although the 5 Zhu-Rong warriors were pioneers, each of them was like an ancient war god. They stood on lava, their bodies imposing, their armor forged from rock and blood, and their eyes the color of abyssal flames. Their movements were unhurried, carrying a calm and destructive aura. One of them raised his hand, and a blazing red line of fire traced a path through the air, burning the air into transparent ripples wherever it passed. The fiery line slashed fiercely at Suzaku. Suzaku's eyes were calm. She clasped her hands together, and a Suzaku composed of blue flames spread its wings from behind her, instantly engulfing the fire line with a chilling aura. The forces of blue and red clashed in midair, and the resulting light caused the heavens and earth to tremble. The attack of the Zhu-Rong warrior was absorbed, and the flames froze in the vermilion bird's palm, shattering instantly. She said calmly, "Your fire is too weak. It can't even let me devour it to my heart's content." Faced with Zhu Chue's blatant mockery, the other 3 Zhu-Rong warriors charged forward in anger. A man wielded a rock spear, its shaft seemingly formed from solidified fire. With a single thrust, he pierced a massive crater in the ground of the neighborhood. The other one spread its arms wide, and the fire wave transformed into hundreds of serpentine flames, tearing at the air. The last person descended from the sky, and the shockwave that landed cracked the ground for hundreds of meters. Tu Yunlai roared as he charged forward, his arms crossed, his fists bursting with fierce white flames that had almost lost their color, signifying that the temperature had exceeded its limit. He met the musket head-on with a punch that shattered it. The muskets exploded into countless sparks in the air, which were then swept into the blue storm by the vermilion bird's icy flames. Suzaku coldly uttered, "Ice prison Suzaku seal." Countless blue feathers fell from the sky, like sharp blades formed from ice and snow, instantly enveloping the 5 Zhu-Rong warriors. Their flames were devoured and stripped away, and their energy turned into streams of light, which she controlled and absorbed into her palm. "Damn it! What kind of weird ability is this?" The warriors of Zhu-Rong roared. It should be noted that even Zhang Yi highly praised Zhu Chue's abilities when he first met him. Now that her ability index has risen to 26,000 points, she even possesses the combat power to rival a bishop level in human. What's more, these 5 Zhu-Rong warriors are completely countered by her abilities. Their special abilities are automatically weakened by 30% when fighting against Suzaku. Taking advantage of momentum, Tu Yunlai charged forward, stomping his foot on the lava. Flames erupted from beneath his feet as he roared and slammed his fist down. The two cooperated very well. Suzaku sealed their actions and abilities, leaving them with no way to use their skills, at most turning them into nourishment for Suzaku. Tu Yunlai seized the opportunity to strike, delivering a fatal blow to them. A giant fiery fist slammed down from the sky. With a deafening roar, the earth trembled, and the 5 Zhu-Rong warriors were completely crushed into the magma, their flames instantly extinguished. Inside the command center of the East China Sea region. Looking at the scene on the satellite image, Li Guangxiao finally relaxed, slapped the table, and shouted with a smile, "Well done." Xuanwu nodded in agreement. With the combined efforts of Zhu Ke and Tu Yunlai, this wave of enemies is nothing to fear. Meanwhile, in the command center of Blizzard City, Zhu Jing stood with his arms crossed and a solemn expression on his face. Zhu Yu sat to the side, her voice clear and cold like a spring in an empty valley. It seems they handled it quite well. However, as soon as she finished speaking, the screen suddenly trembled. A deep rumble came from the depths of the earth, as if some giant beast was slowly awakening. Immediately afterwards, a low laugh came from the communication channel, carrying an echo that did not belong to humans. Interesting. So this is the 6th-generation powerhouse. His voice was deep, carrying a condescending contempt. Upon hearing this voice, both Suzaku and Tu Yunlai, who had just finished a battle, changed color simultaneously. Are there still enemies? The magma on the ground began to surge, as if a heart were beating. A gigantic figure slowly rose from the sea of fire. He was clad in crimson lava armor, with flowing fire veins shimmering on his chest, and his body radiated an intense, suffocating heat. With each step he took, the earth groaned like metal, and the magma beneath his feet was drawn into his armor, transforming into flowing veins of fire. The face was half hidden in the firelight, a haughty smile on its lips, and eyes that seemed capable of burning everything. Another Zhu Rong warrior, but his aura was incomparable to the previous 5 Zhu Rong warriors. Lu Sha, one of the elite members of the Zhurong clan, and one of the leaders of the landing operation. He glanced indifferently at Tu Yunlai and Zhu Ke in front of him, his voice echoing in the air like thunder rolling across a sea of fire. Your strength is quite impressive, being able to kill 5 Zhu Rong warriors. However, if the strongest fighting force of the land people is only this level, then it is far too disappointing. Zhu Ke and Tu Yunlai looked up at the same time, their eyes fixed on Lu Sha in front of them with serious expressions. That sense of oppression was heavier than that of any enemy before. The air boiled under the scorching heat of the land, the temperature rose sharply, even the steel in the ruins began to soften, and even the blue ice flames were forced to flicker erratically. Zhu Chue's gaze was frosty, and her voice was cold. You are their leader? Lu Shao's lips curled up, and flames ignited from his shoulder, transforming into a ferocious fire beast that hovered behind him. Chief. He chuckled. No, I'm just here to clean up the trash. That laughter was like flames tearing through the night sky. The firelight illuminated half the sky, and the powerful energy fluctuations triggered urgent alarms from the intelligence systems on the 2 individuals. Chapter 2470, 2, The Zhurong Clan 3. Li Guangxiao's expression changed. It's an even more powerful alien race. Zhu Ke, be careful. That's not an ordinary warrior. It should be a leader among the alien race. Zhu Zheng narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, It seems that the real battle has only just begun. Zhu Yu, standing nearby, witnessed the entire process through satellite monitoring and the surveillance equipment on Tu Yunlai and the others. Do you need me to prepare support? She glanced at Zhu Zheng and asked calmly. Zhu Zheng frowned deeply, then said firmly, The situation is unclear. We must continue to observe. We have no idea how powerful the alien race is. Zhu Yu nodded silently and said no more. On the battlefield of Karama City, flames surged, and the world was like a furnace. The entire city is now reduced to a pristine area behind Suzaku, which she had created. The rest of the city has long been burned to the ground. Lu Shao's body temperature was ridiculously high, so high that even the air was distorted by the heat, as if the whole world had been set on fire by him. He simply stared coldly at the 2 people in front of him, his eyes filled with undeniable arrogance and contempt. Let's begin the expulsion operation. His tone was calm, yet it resonated like thunder, striking both of them. The next moment, a tremendous shockwave erupted. That was a prelude to the full unfolding of Lu Shao's supernatural abilities. A blazing heat surged from his body, shaking the entire city. Zhu Ke and Tu Yunlai retreated simultaneously, their expressions changing drastically. The red alarm light on the tactical goggles flashed, and a string of alarming numbers jumped across the screen. Ability Index: 32,000 points. Tu Yunlai gasped, his voice trembling slightly. Zhu Ke frowned, his gaze becoming incredibly sharp. This guy is more difficult to deal with than the previous 5. Although it would be a bit strenuous, Suzaku felt a sense of eagerness to try. With an ability index of 26,000, this was her first time fighting a bishop-level superhuman head-on. She wanted to see if she could contend with an existence of this level with the powerful abilities of her Ice Prison Vermilion Bird. Sooner or later, I will be able to support a part of the sky of Huashu Kingdom, just like that man. Doesn't he often fight enemies stronger than him and win every time? Why can't I? Zhang Yi became Zhu Kei's idol at this time. Little did she know that if Zhang Yi were here at that moment, and he didn't have any absolute defensive capabilities, he would have chosen to run away without hesitation. The vermilion bird exhaled icy blue mist, and behind it spread its wings a huge icy blue vermilion bird, with a fiery phantom hundreds of meters high bringing a terrifying pressure. Lu Sha merely watched the vermilion bird with great interest, his eyes showing no emotion whatsoever. You dare to declare war on me instead of fleeing? How interesting. Suddenly, an incomparably terrifying aura erupted from Lu Shao's body. That force was like a heartbeat from hell, so oppressive that even the air seemed to freeze. Tu Yunlai's ability index is only 16,000 points. Faced with an existence of this level, he has no ability to resist at all. His chest felt as if a huge boulder was pressing down on it, making it difficult to even breathe. You think you can intimidate us with just your imposing manner? Don't even think about it. Suzaku struggled to steady himself, clasped his hands together, and unleashed a violent burst of blue flames within his body. The vermilion bird of ice prison unleashed its full power, unleashing countless blue fire feathers that caused the temperature of the space to plummet to its lowest point, freezing even the flowing magma into azure crystal walls. Tu Yunlai, she whispered. Tu Yunlai immediately understood and roared as he adjusted the energy of the Vulcan explosion to its limit. At that moment, the world changed color. The flames around him were compressed into tiny specks of light, which then converged in front of his fist. Exploding God, meteor strike. With a single punch, the sky seemed to be torn apart, and the flames even dyed the night sky red. The combined power of the two was like a world-destroying symphony. However, Lu Sha just gave a cold laugh. He raised his right hand, and light gathered in his palm, the crimson energy transforming into a blazing sun in the air. Blazing flame. With a deep chant, the earth roared. In that instant, flames rose throughout the entire city, as if summoned by some invisible divine force. Streets, vehicles, buildings, corpses, and dust all burst into flames in an instant, merging into a complete firestorm. The entire sky turned into an orange-red ocean. Despite the vermilion bird's best efforts and the blue flames that created a barrier, it was still forced to retreat step by step. Her ice flames absorbed the energy from the land fire, but the scale of that scorching flame had exceeded her absorption limit. The difference in ability attributes could not bridge the huge gap in the two people's superpower indices. Moreover, as an ancient race, the Zhurong clan possesses a greater grasp of supernatural abilities than land dwellers. Suzaku, who had only studied the Moon Man meditation technique for half a year, was still unable to unleash the true power of his abilities. As a result, she suffered a severe blow in this confrontation. Tu Yunlai rushed forward and detonated the Vulcan blast at full power, but was thrown back by the shockwave and crashed heavily into the ruins in the distance, half of his body charred black. Zhu Kei gritted her teeth, the blue flames in her eyes almost extinguished. Her communicator buzzed, and Li Guangxiao's voice came through. Zhu Kei, forget about the others, evacuate immediately. That's a high-level Zhurong clan leader, his energy level confirmed at 32,000 points. We'll send Xuanwu to support him right away. There's no time. Suzaku's voice trembled. Her barrier began to crack, and the blue flames were gradually consumed by the orange-red. She then realized just how terrifying the opponent's power was. The gap between the bishop level and the chariot level remains as vast as an insurmountable chasm. But can she escape even if she wants to? An endless sea of fire has sealed off all sides. Moreover, Suzaku couldn't bear to abandon those struggling people and escape himself at this time. Those were thousands of people they had saved with great difficulty. They were still struggling, placing their last hope on Zhu Kei and Tu Yunlai. Zhu Kei and Tu Yunlai would find it difficult to abandon the civilians and escape alone. Lu Sha looked at them, a smirk playing on his lips, his voice laced with contempt. This is the so-called sixth-generation powerhouse? He can't even withstand the heat I exhale. He stretched out his hand, his 10 fingers slightly spread, and scorching energy gathered into a giant hand made of magma, slowly enveloping the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird of Ice Prison let out a howl, fiercely releasing icy flames as it tried to absorb all the heat energy that was encroaching upon it. However, in the struggle for power, she gradually fell into a desperate situation. Suzaku and Tu Yunlai did not give up. They continued their fierce battle. At the same time, they also understood that they could not defeat the powerful opponent in front of them on their own. We request assistance. The distress signal was sent out in 2 directions, the Jiangnan Regional Headquarters and the Donghai Regional Headquarters. We have encountered an insurmountable opponent. We request assistance.